Welcome back. Before we get to energy and petroleum and all of that, let's talk politics. We've been joined in the program by Mr. Sly Zekonwa. He's the national chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance. Mr. Sly, good morning and welcome to the program.
Yes, good morning, my brother Jove.
Would it be right to say that APGA has taken a policy of safety when it comes to presidential polls sometimes? Yes, because like you told yourself, there's no point stressing ourselves. So let's give all the backing we can get. So we hear that APGA has now endorsed President Bola Tinubu for a second term. What's the reasoning that went into this? And is it that APGA is now aspiring beyond Anambra as far as national politics is concerned?
I think there are a lot of thinking that went into that policy. Like I always say, it is a policy or it is a decision that was fueled by both policy and conviction. Policy in the sense that this is what was started some, say, 15 years ago, precisely 2010, 2011, when the party deemed it fit at that point to adopt the presidential candidacy of the then President Goodluck Jonathan. And the party has not steered away from that particular policy. That policy is still intact. Then secondly, the next one is conviction. Conviction in the sense that the party believes that the president is steered the country in the right direction, and that given the needed reforms that the president has orchestrated, which probably aligns with the progressive agenda of APGA, that the best is in the best interest of the party for the party to adopt the candidacy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Thank you for supporting us during the last election. Because maybe explain, because I'm talking about the reasoning here. I remember in that election in Anambra where the contest happened, and then when I saw the congratulatory message that the president sent to the governor, Chukwuma Soludo, yes, I felt very sad for the APC candidate, because the president was literally happy for the victory of Chukwuma Soludo when he had a candidate in that election.
No. You see, I think I beg to disagree with you.
No. Did you see? You read the message, right?
Yes, of course, I read the message.
We can pull it up.
That is the message of a statesman, a man who understands that politics rises above partisan interest. The president is the president of the country, not the president of APC, not the president of APGA. And when the president sees that an election has been free, fair, and credible, the president has no option than to congratulate the winner. That is what we advocate in politics. Of course, your station monitored the election, and you attested to the level of credibility of that election. And so what is wrong if the president attests to the credibility of the election, congratulate the security forces, INEC, and the person that eventually won the election? I see absolutely nothing wrong in it. Absolutely nothing. And so if that is probably what is fueling the assumption that, oh, probably APGA is trying to pay Mr. President back, well, I don't know what to say, but the fact remains that APGA, as a political party, one, we are ideologically aligned with the party at the center, which is the All Progressive Congress, because we believe that both political parties share similar ideology. And if you recall, when the president visited Anambra State, I think on the 8th of May 2025, the president, while articulating his speech, made a clarion call, not just to the president, but to every other political party that professes progressivism, that this is the point for political parties to unite along ideological lines. There is no need why a political party which professes similar ideology cannot probably enter into a strategic partnership with another political party that shares similar ideology. And that's what has led to a healthy working partnership between the APGA as a political party and the APC. Remember, in the cabinet of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we have a serving BOT member of APGA as a minister. Talking about Ambassador Bianca Ojukwu, we have a serving member of APGA as the pioneer MD CEO of the Southeast Development Commission, which is just a commission that was just established by economic development for the Southeast. And so if you put all this together, you will see that the president and the APC has been fair to not just the government of Anambra State, but APGA, which is the political party upon which the administration of Soludo was elected into office. So I see absolutely nothing wrong in it. We are ideologically aligned. We say that progressives are working well together. Just recently, I don't know if you even saw the post of Mr. Governor, that's our national leader, commending Mr. President for awarding yet 2 other set of strategic roads that crisscrosses or connects Southeast to other parts of the country. I think Mr. President has been very fair to us. And we have no other option than to say, send our strong message of solidarity and support to Mr. President.
Well, some would say that perhaps this is a symbiotic relationship. So, because Mr. President has rubbed your back, then you rub his back. But the casualty there is this ideology that you talk about. So, how has this symbiotic relationship helped to advance the ideology of APGA? And what is this ideology, by the way?
Now, when you talk about APGA, APGA as a political party, like I said, professes progressivism. And what is progressivism? Some call it left of the center. It is an ideology that is rooted in strong social agenda. And that strong social agenda is an agenda that prioritizes the welfare of the people, while trying as much as possible to make sure that government takes needed economic reforms to prioritize the welfare and well-being of the people. That is the ideology behind progressivism that we profess. That is the ideology behind the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in his renewed hope agenda. That is the ideology we are talking about. And if you're talking about a symbiotic relationship, I don't see anything wrong in having that symbiotic relationship with the party at the center. The most important thing for us is that we control a state called Anambra. And our utmost interest now is what advances the economic development of Anambra State. That is the priority.
So, Mr. Kenwa, if the heart of the ideology is the welfare of the people, I reiterate the point that it appears that that is a casualty in this symbiotic relationship because of the reforms of the administration beneath which Nigerians, including Anambrarians, are groaning. The removal of fuel subsidy, the increasing price of petroleum products that impacts on every other thing, the security concerns, for which everyone is feeling the impact. So your ideology is a casualty.
I don't think you want us to go the route of the issue of fuel subsidy removal. Why do I say I don't think you want us to go that route? It is a policy that virtually everybody in the country has commended Mr. President for its removal because of the issues that had greeted the continued implementation of the fuel subsidy regime. The corruption, the corruption and the criminal enterprise that has come to be associated with the subsidy regime. Every presidential candidate of all the major opposition political parties has at one point in time advocated for the removal of the fuel subsidy. So let us keep that by the side. Then when you come to talk about security, of course, one thing I will not do is not to be empathic to the plight of Nigerians who are suffering the brunt of insecurity around the country. That is given. And you must equally admit that it is a menace that was inherited by this administration. That is given. And has this administration gone a long way in trying to solve that problem? Oh yes. One of them is the key issue of the state police, which Mr. President and the presidency is currently orchestrating a constitutional amendment to implement state police. If you recall, I have consistently called for restructuring of the security architecture of this country. I made this call as early as 2023 when I assumed the office as the national chairman of APGA, because I had looked at how the security issues had festered in the country, and I had come to the conclusion, the irresistible conclusion, that the only way we could solve the security problem is to decentralize the security architecture. Other people started arguing for me what I call very pedestal, putting up very pedestal argument. Oh, the governors were going to do this. Oh, the governors were going to do that. And I made this point the point I made was, if we are to talk about the welfare and well-being of Nigerians, over 99.9% of Nigerians are not really active politicians. They just need security to go about their lawful business, day-to-day business. Farmers need security to go to their respective farm. Businessmen need security to go to their individual businesses. So when we talk about politicians, we try to keep politicians on the front burner as a reason for denying a needed amendment, the needed decentralization that will take care of the security problem in the country. Then you don't find me in such argument. And so, Mr. President, this is the first president from 1999, or even in the history of Nigeria, that has approached the needed economic reforms, the needed constitutional review that we need to actually entrench through federalism in Nigeria. And that is why I commend Mr. President continuously for all the hard decisions he has taken in the overall interest of Nigerians. Like we always say, most of these economic reforms will come to bear when at the end of the day, in fact, if you look at, check the data, check the indices of the economy, most of the hardship that people are complaining are beginning to ease off. The inflation rate is dropping. All the economic agencies around the whole world are giving Nigeria very healthy ratings. Go and look at the indices, go and look at the ratings.
Really, Mr. Okenwa, petrol is still 1,100 naira per liter. A bag of
course, you know, of course, you know the reason. Let's stop this
pedestrian argument. You're saying it's not pedestrian.
But you know what is happening in the Middle East.
A disservice to Nigerians if you say that is a pedestrian argument.
My dear sister Bukola, you know what is happening in the Middle East. You know what has orchestrated the high rise of petrol.
But in other parts of the world, there are interventions provided by other governments that are just as neoliberal as Nigerians for their people. As a matter of fact, countries where there's more advancement, how much more a country like Nigeria, where the poverty rates are high? So it will be a disservice. It will be a disservice to Nigerians if you say that is a pedestrian argument. Nigerians are groaning beneath the weight of the policies of the administration. Can you argue with that?
No, can I tell you why I say it's a pedestrian argument? Let us face the fact. We all agree that Mr. President inherited a mere comatose economy. And what we needed, I think my national leader had likened it to a standing dead horse. And so at that point, the president needed to take bold strategic steps to pull Nigeria out of insolvency. That is what Mr. President has done. And like I said earlier on, I will not be, probably shy of the needed empathy to actually admit that Nigerians are going through hardship, orchestrated by these reforms. That is given. I had said this earlier. But then we must make a conscious decision whether we want to move forward or whether we want to remain in the dark. If we still want to continue groping in the dark, then we can continue to implement the very fraudulent and criminally contrived subsidy regime that has probably created or pushed the country towards the tipping point, or to advance the needed economic reform that has now pushed the country into a healthy economic state. And now we'll not be talking about the next level. And what is that next level? The next level is to actually, in a very strategic manner, consolidate on the economic gains that we have achieved and continue to push the country, open up the country for investors to actually come in, have a healthy competitive economy that Nigerians can be proud of. And that's why I referred you to the ratings of agencies. It's very clear.
Yes, I'm happy we're having, for the first time in a long while, we're having policy-related conversation, not who is a leader of a party and who is not a leader of a party. That is really the juvenile pedestrian conversation. Every other one is important. So let's let's stay with this one for a moment as we begin to wind down. And you talked about, in fact, I have challenged the APC that they are inconsistent in their economic policy, economic ideology. So former President Muhammadu Buhari was left of center in his ideology, economic ideology. President Bola Tinubu is right of center in his economic ideology. The same political party, they're divergent in their views. So it looks like whoever is in charge pushes. So as a party, there's no frontline economic policy. So and you are saying you are aligning with the APC, and you even mentioned the fact that you're left of center. But this policy of government, is right of center. So help me understand what you mean by this alignment. Because if you liberalize, just a moment, if you liberalize trade, and bring in free market economy for whatever reason you do, that's an ideology you push up. And then what all the tax reforms that have been put in place and all the harmonization, subsidy removal, these are more of right of center kind of economic ideology.
I agree.
But you are saying you're left of center. So what do we really believe?
Now, to answer your question in a more concise manner, remember I talked about the APC. I don't know if you've seen the manifesto of APC. The manifesto of APC shows that APC is left of center. It professes, yes, free or liberal market economy, while at the same time trying to emphasize certain aspects of the social agenda where the government of the day comes in to provide certain amenities to ameliorate the plight of the people. And it will be wrong to actually say that the current administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is entirely right of the center. I don't think it is right. There are so many social interventions that have been made by this current administration. Now, what the administration has done in trying to liberalize the economy, like I said earlier on, is to actually save the economy from insolvency. It is more like an interventionist approach by this government to actually save the country from the tipping point, while actually still consolidating on certain social interventions that this government has done. There are a couple of them. Under this current administration, there are a couple of them. So the most important thing is the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has salvaged the economy from the tipping point. We now have a near healthy economy. And now that is what is going to actually lead to more social interventions that is going to profit and benefit the vast majority of Nigerians who are groaning under hardship as a result of the intervention that the economic reforms orchestrated by the current administration. But you cannot deny that APC professes a progressive agenda, which is purely and ideologically left of the center.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there's a difference between professing and acting and implementing. I'm telling you for a fact, like you've agreed, by implementation, they are right of center under President Bola Tinubu. Is more capitalist because for him, yes, that is the best way to keep the economy going in the meantime, right?
Exactly the point I made.
Is that what you're saying?
Exactly the point I made. I said it is an interventionist policy needed to save the country from insolvency or from the tipping point. But at the end of the day, if you look at certain policies of this current administration, you will see that in it there are policies and reforms that are still orchestrated or rooted in strong and healthy or robust social agenda, which is now what really talks about the welfare and well-being of Nigerians.
Okay.
So those social reforms and those social agenda, which has been implemented by the current administration, makes it intrinsically left of the center.
Well, we'll continue to debate all of this. Whether it moves the needle or not is a different kettle of fish, because if you take the data and play it out as to how many people have really been reached, we hear all of these numbers, but we try to see how effective it is. Effort is never what we reward result. But I must thank you so much. I enjoyed this conversation because it's been a while I had policy-related conversation that I've looked forward to. Sly Ezekwesili will continue to engage.
Thank you very much. And I really like the fact that we are here to educate Nigerians on the real achievement of this administration.
All right, we'll continue to interrogate. That's our job. Thank you. We appreciate it.